Friends, we're exploring Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers. We're looking at a verse in chapter 1, section 12. Havei mitalmidav shel Aharon, be the disciples of Aaron HaKohen, the brother of Moses. Ohev Shalom, the lover of peace. Rodef Shalom, pursuer of peace. Ohev et habriot, he loves the creatures, the creations, u'mukarban la Torah, and brings them close to the Torah. Let's examine this a little bit closely. The first half of the phrase, be the students of Aaron, love peace. Aaron was known as a lover of people, and therefore he loved peace. Those who like peace are the people who love people. Aaron is famous for the fact that there was no jealousy whatsoever by the fact that his younger brother was chosen to be Moses. In fact, one of the reasons Moses so hesitated to become Moses, that he negotiated with God for an entire week, is because of the fact that he had an older brother. Historically, in the first book of the Bible, brothers didn't get along. We have a series of mishaps. Cain and Abel, where the younger brother was preferred and it ended in death. Isaac and Ishmael, where the younger brother was preferred and it ended in separation. Jacob and Esau, where then there was a rejuvenation, but once again, in order to live in harmony, they had to separate. The brothers of Joseph and Joseph, there was plenty of disharmony, and then again they came together and lived happily ever after, but only after years of pain and separation. And finally, the twins Manasseh and Ephraim, where the Torah speaks of Noah's divisiveness. However, when it comes to Moses and Aaron, and Moses hesitates, he says to God, I don't want to be Moses, I have an older brother. And God says, but Aaron is different. He's nothing like the others. Not only there won't be hate or envy or enmity, there won't even be equilibrium. The language is, he will celebrate your ascension to greatness, which is in fact what happened. And that's why Aaron becomes the one that blesses the Jewish people. The language is ba'ava, with love, because he's filled with love, and therefore Aaron is the one who pursues peace and teaches us, if I want to bring peace between people, the formula is to show love. And then the second half of the phrase, Ohev et habriot, love people. U'mekarvan la Torah, and bring them close to the Torah. And there's two powerful messages in that phrase. Firstly, if you want to bring someone close to Torah, what people call today kiruv, bringing people close, the premise has to be because you're doing it out of love. If you're asking someone to do Shabbos or put on tefillin or keep kosher because you want to get points by God, or because you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, if there's something in it for you, then shush, keep your mouth shut. You only reach out and you'd only be successful in affecting another Jew if it's coming out of love. And there's a beautiful story that's told that this man is walking by the kotel. And as you know, by the kotel, there's opportunities for people to put on tefillin. And somebody offers him, he's a secular Israeli, and somebody offers him, hinachta tefillin hayom, would you like to put on tefillin? And this secular Israeli turns around and curses him out, maybe spits at him. Hadatiyim ha'ela, you religious ones, you're destroying the country, leave me alone, stop with this religion. And then he continues to the other side of the plaza, and there's another yeshiva bucha standing with a little table, and he offers him tefillin. And the man on the other side, who was just refused and spat at, notices that he, without any reluctance, rolls up his sleeve and puts on the tefillin and says the Shema. He's taken aback, so on the way back, when the man walks to the other side, he stops him, he says, excuse me, sir, tell me why you rejected me so and you embraced him with his mitzvah, to which he responded, when you offered me tefillin, I felt that you wanted to take from me a mitzvah. When he offered me tefillin, I felt that he wanted to give me a mitzvah. Ohev et habriot, you bring him close to Torah, but the premise is that you're doing it out of love. People often ask me as a Chabad rabbi, how do you see yourself? Do you feel like you're saving Jews? Do you feel like you're a lifeguard? And I tell them, I feel like I'm a tutor to the royals. The Rebbe told us in the early years of his leadership, when he spoke about Jewish outreach, he said, be wary. When you go out and talk to a Jew who might know less than you, who might be observing very little, but the Rebbe said, don't look down. It shouldn't be a top-down relationship. And the Rebbe said, and I quote in Yiddish, Don't think you're better than him. Maybe he's better than you in God's eye. The one mitzvah that he's doing, coming from without the background of the yeshiva, what have you, he may be more precious. This is God's children, said the Rebbe, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, they're royalty. And you were given the mission, the pleasure, the privilege of being a tutor to the royals. Do it with respect and do it with love. And finally, Mikarvan la Torah. One of the Rebbe's principles in outreach is bring them close to the Torah. Don't, God forbid, try to bring the Torah close to them. There's often a tendency in our goal to make Torah accessible. We're going to slice down the rules. We're going to take around the meaning. We'll take away some of the rules and regulations. And this is not important. That's not important. Then you're left with nothing. You're left with a bare Judaism. And what are you selling? You're selling a meaningless Yiddishkeit. The Rebbe's approach is no, keep Torah as it is. Follow the way of Aaron. Bring them close to the Torah. So there's a beautiful anecdote, which I'll close with this, that the poor man, who's the water carrier in the shtetl, he's visiting the rich man's house one day delivering water, and he smells a beautiful aroma coming from the kitchen. He says to the rich man, he says, what is that smell? I've never smelled something quite like it. He says, you don't know, it's blintzes. My wife made delicious blintzes. Go home and tell your wife to make your blintzes. He comes home, he can't wait to tell Yentl. He says, Yentl, you gotta make blintzes. The rich people, they salivate. It's out of this world. The good woman looks at her husband. She says, I would love to make you blintzes, but don't you know we're poor? Can we afford cream and cheese and milk and oil and whatever it is? We're poverty stricken. He says to his wife, spare me the details. Do I need all the details? Do I need dafka, a little bit of cheese at this? Whatever it takes, give me a blintz. So the good woman in desperation, she puts together whatever she has, flour, water, maybe a little bit of salt, and she puts it on the table, this dried out thing, and serves her husband a cheese blintz, and he sits down feeling good. He's gonna be a rich man. He sits with his fork and knife and his napkin and everything else, and he takes one bite, and he spits it out, and he says, "Feh! Disgusting, I can't imagine what the rich people see in the cheese blintz." And the moral of the story, of course, is Judaism is like a cheese blintz. It's delicious. It's filled with ingredients, mitzvahs, Torah, history, Shabbos, Pesach, mikveh, charity, Torah study, mezuzah, everything. And that's why it's been loved and cherished by our people from time immemorial, for millennia. Unfortunately, when we try to water it down and give our children the dried out blintz, and we say, yeah, we want to be Jewish. Shabbos is not important, kosher is not important, this is not important, just Judaism, generic. It's no wonder that the younger generation spits it out. And the approach of the Rebbe, following the path of Aaron HaKohen in this section of the Talmud, is give the full blintz and say to the Jew, if you're not hungry yet, if you don't have an appetite for the whole blintz, take a little bite. Translation, start with one mitzvah. Start with tefillin every day or once a week. Start with Shabbos candles and a Shabbos dinner if you're not observing the full Shabbos. But do that in the knowledge that it's a bite from the full blintz with all of the delicious ingredients that make our Jewish experience so rich and delicious.
Thanks for watching. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell below for daily pearls of Jewish wisdom.